So I have drawn out my mushrooms. I've drawn 4 mushrooms just in pencil onto watercolour paper. So the first one we're going to put some pen and ink on, just like we did with our second mushroom that we drew. Perhaps not quite so much ink, but again keep it to heavier on the left hand side, not much on the right hand side. So
Are you wanting us to do this at the same time?
you can, yes, yeah, carry on through, otherwise you'll just be watching me. Well, you can watch me, but you can start, because we've already done one, haven't we? We've already done one in just pure ink, so we're just reproducing that. Again, not much on the left hand side. We can put our gills in. Yes. I didn't know last week, but somebody told me Tuesday night. In fact, it was Ross that turned up on Monday night. Got the day got the wrong day. So again, we can start with our shading. Curved line helps to show the shape of it. Move your paper back because it's easier to do curves in that direction than it is in that direction. So you can always move your paper to make it a little bit easier. On the watercolour paper because you've got that little bit of bumpy texture which will give you a different feel to how you apply the pen. Also got a water soluble pen here. I know that some of you have got water soluble pens. These are ideally the Beryl handwriting pens. So we'll do that with the second one. So, second one, bit of ink on the top, coming down the side of the stalk, not quite as much as we put on with the waterproofing, because this will bleed. Those of you that have used a water soluble pen in the past know that there's...
Oh, is this supposed to be water soluble?
So this is water soluble, this one. Do this and then we don't have to be too particular with our ink work on it. No, they're not water soluble. I've got the £2 there. We use them quite a bit, don't we?
Yes, I should get them.
going to do with the water soluble one. So I've got those. You can either borrow one as they go round, or you can buy one. Sorry, they're £2 for you. Oh, thank you. Doing well for you tonight. They are very nice pens to use. You can practice your handwriting as well if you really want to. So not too much ink on this one. It's got the water soluble ink on. So with this one, all I'm going to do, not too big a brush, not too small a brush. This is the number 6, so anything between sort of a 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that will be fine. It's a nylon brush, so it makes a nice point. And all I'm going to do with a bit of clean water is just spread this ink over so that we get a very pale side to it and a darker side where the ink bleeds. So it's a very quick way of getting some tone onto sketches, and as it dries we get these sort of lovely blues, pinks, purples coming through.
Did you say you've got some of those to borrow?
There's 1 or 2 around you can borrow. They've got a bit of tape on them. We'll move on to the watercolour one, because you can always come back to the water soluble one if it's not useful to wait. Oh, it's done with that one. Okay. So we can always come back to that one. I forgot to say about that. So I think of these things as I'm doing my planning and try and think, oh, a bit of water soluble, that'd be quite nice to do. Nice thing about these is you can also put more ink on, you can work back into it. So the first one we're going to put some watercolour onto is our pen and ink one. So it'll end up as a pen and wash. And what were the colours I suggested?
Brown,
Yep.
yellow, red, yellow, ochre,
Yep.
and black.
That's it. Yellow ochre, burnt umber and black. And actually those 3 colours mixed, you can see if I mix up. So that's yellow ochre. Now these are chestnut mushrooms that we were doing last week. Some burnt umber and a little bit of black. And it actually gives you a really good mushroom colour. You can see up there. If I mix those 3, I can apply it to my mushroom very quickly. And we can go in with a little bit more burnt umber just on that left hand side. And we can go in with a bit more black just where those gills are. It's going to bleed a little bit, but that's alright. And a little bit more burnt umber. Oops. Just down there as well. So a very quick bit of watercolour added to our mushroom to just give it a bit more form and a bit more interest, just the pen and ink one. Are you all okay? I'm not going too fast for you. You're doing alright? Yeah? Just about. You'll get through. So yellow ochre, burnt umber and black. So those 3 colours will give you a very nice mushroom colour. And then put that over the start on the darker side put it on, wash it through, blend, with a little bit of, add a little bit of water to your brush, blend it through so we've got a lighter area on the left hand side, on the right hand side, and then a little bit more burnt umber onto your darker left hand side. I'm just giving it a little bit of colour, not getting too bogged down with detail or trying to get too much too strong the colours on, because the pen and ink is giving us the majority of the work and the shape and the detail. So looking very good from here, you can see. So, move on to our third mushroom now. Are you okay? Yeah?
I could just put far too much black, so I'm just black.
It was just the mouldy mushroom that was at the bottom. If you go too heavy, just a little bit of tissue, you can dab it off. You can wet it, dab it off, clean water and just move the paint about and dab it off. It's watercolour, it will lift off. You won't get it 100% off, but you'll get a lot of it out. So with the third mushroom, I'm going to take my yellow ochre, just pure yellow ochre first of all, and we're going to put a wash of that on our mushroom. Just the body of the mushroom, the round bit.
Sorry folks, the first one,
Yep. Yep.
Did you put, was that wet and wet? Did you put water on it?
No, I'm not putting water on anything, I'm just mixing the paint and pushing it on. So what Jen means by wet and wet is if I'd have wetted the mushroom first and then put the colour on. But we're only doing a little study, so we don't need to put loads of water on. We're working quick enough to move the paint about. What was that?
I've got a radioactive mushroom. Very yellow.
Right, if you go too yellow,
Yeah.
again, dab it off,
Have it off.
bit of clean water on, you can move about that colour, you can see you can almost get rid of the whole of the colour there. So if you've got a too yellow, for using these paints, nice and
Is that
watery.
too yellow still?
No, that'll be alright,
Are you doing any on the stalk?
No, I'm not going to do any stalk at the moment. I'm going to then take my burnt umber and I'm going to drop that in. So this is the brown. Drop it in to the yellow ochre, and I'm just going to sort of dab it with the paintbrush a little bit so that we get a little bit of a sort of mottled effect, and then leave a little bit of the yellow ochre showing through. So we're letting the water that's on the first coat with the yellow ochre do the work of blending the second colour, this burnt umber. So just dabbing with the paintbrush, dotting the colour on. It gives us a bit of a mottled effect. And then I can take my black, I don't want it too strong, so just put a little bit on your palette. So I'm taking it off my pan, putting it onto my palette. And don't want it too strong initially. And again, while it's nice and wet, I can just dab some of this black in around the left hand edge, coming round to the base and the bottom of the mushroom. So we're really letting the water do the work for us. Get this mottled effect as it dries. And the top here as well. So this is the black. Yeah. Just bring that in a little bit. I don't want it to run too much into that wet base, so I'm not putting too much on. I'll just let that blend in a little bit. That's alright, because these are experiments, so it can look awful. And they always look different as well. And it's watercolour, so it doesn't really matter. We've got another one here, our fourth one on the sheet, so let's put some yellow ochre down. And you'll see you've got some salt on your table. So I'm going to put my burnt umber in. So the salt will hopefully give us a bit of a speckly effect. So get a bit of black, add that in now. While that's wet, a little bit of salt.